This is only my 972nd time filming this video. Alright guys, this is my wrap-up video for Read-O-Rama Readathon Round 7. For those of you who don't know, Read-O-Rama Readathon was June 11th through June 17th. Yes, I know I am late. Okay, so Read-O-Rama Readathon has 8 challenges which you can fulfill through any combination of ways. Challenge number 1 is to read a book with Rama in the title and or the author's name. Challenge number 2 is to read a book with water on the cover. Challenge number 3 is to read a short book being 150 pages or less. Challenge number 4 is to read a graphic novel. Challenge number 5 is to read a book that you have been anticipating. Challenge number 6 is to read an own voice book. Challenge number 7 is to read a book that was released during the summer. It can be any summer, not just this summer. And then challenge number 8, in case you did not use one book per challenge, but filled one book that used multiple challenges, or any other way you can think of to do it, I don't know, but challenge number 8 is to read 7 books. So if you have one book for each of those challenges, you have already fulfilled challenge 8. Now, let's get into the books that I read. Firstly, there was Feral Sins by Suzanne Wright. This is a paranormal shifter romance novel. It is one that I read before. It was a reread that I used to get me out of a book hangover that was caused by Laini Taylor. I loved it the first time I read it. I really couldn't stand it this time. It was just very Mary Sue-ish. Like, the main character had this genetic thing that just basically made her latent. She couldn't shift like all of the rest of the shifters, and it's not supposed to be something you're able to overcome. And then, you know, magically she happened to be the strongest, the most alpha, even though she was latent, and she was just magically able to shift anyway, even though that's never been done. And in the first time it struck me as cute, like, oh, she gives a happy ending, and this time it struck me as like very Mary Sue. So, I don't know. This time around, it was a 3 out of 5 star read for me. Still enjoyable because I love shifter romances, but meh compared to a lot of the other ones that I've read. That just contributed to the Read 7 Books challenge. The next book that I read was Saga Volume 2. This fulfilled the graphic novel challenge. It is the second book in the Saga? If you have not read Saga, it is about 2 warring alien races, and it's really good. It's a really good sci-fi graphic novel. If you are not into graphic novels and you don't like the really weird stuff, it is a little odd, but I mean, the visuals are really, through graphic novels, how you tell the majority of the story. So there is that. If you are not a graphic novel person, may or may not be the first one to start off with, but I loved it. The first one I gave a 5 out of 5. This one I gave a 4 out of 5 simply because it really didn't deal too much with the main couple, and that's really all I cared about. It's kind of had that soap opera thing going on where you just switch back and forth to like other outlying characters, and I didn't care about them. I wanted to see more of the main storyline, and there wasn't really too much of that. So that's the only reason I gave it a 4 now, not a 5. English is hard. The next book that I read is Tree Girl by T.A. Byron, and this fulfilled the Read a Short Book challenge because it is only like 120 some odd pages. And it is a middle grade book about this girl who is a tree sprite, tree fae, tree spirit, tree nymph, something of that. And she was basically stolen away from her real family at birth and raised as a human and told to stay the hell out of the forest. It's not a bad book at all, but it is the first time I tried reading middle grade as an adult, and middle grade is not for me, I have discovered. Nothing wrong with it. I'm just not a middle grade person. Found that out the hard way. But if you do like middle grade books, this is awesome. T.A. Byron is a wonderful author. He writes the 7 Songs of Merlin series, which I really love to this day. And that is YA, I think, not middle grade, but yes. So there's that. So then there was When Dimple Mary. This book is a YA contemporary about a Indian girl whose parents are basically obsessed with her finding the ideal Indian husband. It was super cute. Oh my god. I loved it. I loved it. I read it in like a day. It's about this girl Dimple who, like I said, her mother is trying to just really get her to focus on her looks and do your hair and wear pretty colors, and you have these nice saris and all these other, you know, gorgeous Indian clothes and you want to wear jeans and chucks, and what the hell is wrong with you? Like, you're not going to meet a husband like that. Dimple, however, is more focused on being a coder, a code writer, and she wants to go, she's not worried about this husband thing. You know, she's wants to be following this woman pioneer's footsteps who, you know, she looks up to, who's this really famous, super cool code writer who basically paved the way for women in this field. So she wants to go to this seminar, basically. It's like a seminar slash workshop slash competition that takes place over the summer at this college. And she wants to go there, compete in the competition, and her parents agree to it, which shocks her, only to find out that when she gets there, they basically kind of like arranged her a marriage. And the young guy, Rishi, is there, and she thinks, well, she doesn't know anything about it, but he knows the entire story. He's, you know, up there, he's forward, he's like, oh my god, this is going to be my fairy tale happy ending. I'm going to marry this girl that my parents set me up with. I'm going to fulfill my duties as well as have a family, blah, blah, blah. And she's just like, nah, bruh, no, we're not doing that. But it's a very cute story. It was really enjoyable. I loved it. I believe I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. 4 out of 5 stars. Very cute. Very, very cute story. I loved it. And by the way, that fulfilled, if I did not say, the Own Voices challenge, as well as I think I counted it for the summer release because it came out beginning of June. Yeah, something like that. Alright, then we have Wired by Julie Garwood. Now, if you have watched a good chunk of my videos, you will see eventually that I love, love, love historical romance novels, and Julie Garwood is one of my favorite, no, she is my favorite historical romance author, hands down, point blank, period. Now, Julie Garwood also writes contemporary novels, and what's fun about those is that the contemporary romance novels are about couples who are the descendants of the couples in the historical romance novels. Now, Wired counts for my summer release and most anticipated because I was stupid excited for this to come out. It doesn't come out until July 4th, but I got it as an arc, so the anticipation was triple for me for that reason. But it was probably my least favorite Julie Garwood book. Maybe it's because I read so many of her books, but the characters were very familiar and the situations were very familiar, and I feel like I've read that book from her 1,000 times before. It's about this girl, Allison, who is a really brilliant computer hacker, and she just so happens to be so gorgeous that she models on the side. Because of her computer genius, she is sought out by the FBI, and Agent Liam, can't remember his last name, falls in love with her. And like I said, these two characters are basically, they just feel very recycled from all of her other books, even like the way that they just kind of came to the realization that they love each other. Super familiar. Like, I feel like I'd read that scene a handful of times before because I had from this same author. So there was that. If you have not read one of her books before, very enjoyable. If you've read a lot of them, I would say not to bother because you've already seen this one in her historical and in her contemporary, because all of her contemporary heroes and heroines are FBI agents, lawyers, detectives, high-ranking officials, blah, 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 and then the women they fall in love with, they come across during a case of theirs, and this was the exact same thing. Then, The Gunslinger, book 1 in the Dark Tower series by Stephen King. I was really excited to read this book. It has like this ocean back here, so it fulfills the challenge of a book with water on the cover. This book made me so angry. Well, not angry per se, but I was expecting this just very elegant kind of writing style, because this book is just lauded as this man's magnum opus, and everybody was like, and the first line is so epic, and oh my god, you gotta read this book. And I was not impressed. It came across as very spaghetti western-ish. It was very tropey as far as like the western aspects of it, as well as it kind of read like a, what is that man's name? Quentin Tarantino movie. Like, you know, Quentin Tarantino movies like Kill Bill and then Django, they were just very, very tropey, very stereotypical, and they just like exacerbated the stereotypes and just exaggerated and just made them way over the top. That's this. I couldn't even get past like 60 pages because I could not take it anymore. I don't know if they're supposed to read like that, but it very much did. I wrote a very long review on it, and specifically the things I did not like about it, and I will link that down in the description box because I don't want this video to be super long if I start ranting about this book. I think I gave it 2 stars. I'll try to read it again later, but that'll be when I kind of know what to expect now. That kind of spaghetti western kind of a thing. Less of the elegant fantasy and more of the like you know, I watch a scary movie and then you watch the movie that's called Scary Movie and it's like a parody. That's what it kind of felt like. Parody of a fantasy and western that was supposed to have some real actually fantasy aspects of it in it, but more so like a parody. That's how it came across to me. I really didn't so many things, but I'll just link the review downstairs. Then there was Flame in the Mist by Renee Addie. This book fulfilled the challenge of a book with Rama on the cover, as well as most anticipated, because this is my singular most anticipated book of 2017, point blank, and the period. And it is also the biggest letdown ever in the history of letdowns. And if this book wasn't so gorgeous, I would chuck it across the room right now. I'm not going to get into why it was super disappointing. I made a video on it. I still have to do a discussion on it. And like I said, I don't want this video to be super long. But disappointing. Hurts my heart. Then there was Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. And this filled also the book with Rama on the cover, as well as a summer release, as well as a anticipated release. Whew. And is it's about this girl Eliza who basically has like social anxiety and general anxiety and like a lot of social awkwardness to boot, and she's the author of this super popular webcomic, and she meets this kid Wallace who's new to her school, who turns to find out he is the singular most famous fanfic writer for the fandom that was, you know, her webcomic. And it was a very cute story until the ending, where it took a what the fuck kind of turn and Wallace turned into a giant dickhead. And yeah. Lastly, Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. This book fulfilled the challenge of Rama on the cover, and it was beautiful and wonderful, and I loved it, and it was just, oh Jesus. This is the second book, like the first book of Laini Taylor's that I read was Stranger Dreamer, and it broke me, it ruined me, it was fabulous, and I'm just never going to be the same ever again. I'm going to harshly judge fantasy books after that for the rest of my natural existence. This book followed in the same vein, basically. This book is about a girl, Karu, who lives in Prague. She was raised by these monstrous kind of creatures, and I'm trying to decide how much. I really don't want to tell you too much about this book because, like Strange Dreamer, the summary is vague for a reason. You need to go into this book blind. That just adds to the magic of the reading experience, and just, oh my Christ. For instance, I'll read you the back. She had been innocent once, a little girl playing with feathers on the floor of a devil's lair. She wasn't innocent now. Oh my God, Laini Taylor's writing is gorgeous. And I was hesitant to read it at first because it kind of had that angel and demons kind of a feel, and it sounded highly Christian, and I really don't like books that are fiction based on my religion. It makes me kind of uncomfortable when they start to play with stuff, but it wasn't that. So if you're worried about that, don't. It doesn't like deal with like God and the whole, that really religion doesn't play an aspect into it. So my favorite Read-O-Rama Readathon round 7 read. Yeah. And one of my favorite reads of 2017, of which I only have 3 at this point, because 2017 has been kind of disappointing for reads thus far. But yes, that is it for my challenge. Guys, have you read any of these books for your challenge, or just read any of them in general? Let me know down in the comments. Also, I will link all the videos and Goodreads reviews I did for the books that I did reviews on down in the description box. And that is it for my Read-O-Rama Readathon Round 7 wrap up. Thanks for watching, guys. Catch you later.